Welcome to the Envisor Screening Systems video, where we will walk you through the step-by-step process. Let's first make sure we have all the parts from the corner truss detail. Step 1. Using the 1-inch bolts and a flat washer, connect the X-frame cross members to the aluminum angle piece at the top and bottom. Use the vertical X-frame pieces as spacers to make sure you have the height of the corner frame correct. Step 2. Now, span the gap of the top X-frame with one of the strut tube pieces. Using the 2-inch bolts, secure these through the top X-frame pieces and into the vertical X-frame supports. For step 3, now repeat step 2 for the bottom X-frame crossmember support. Step 4. Using the 1-inch bolts, flat washers, lock washers, and nylock hex nuts, secure the strut tube to the aluminum angle member and then to the bottom X-frame pieces, and be sure to tighten all bolts. Step 5. Before attaching to the RTU, add the rubber spacers to the mating surface at each hole location. Now we will assemble the mid-span truss assembly. Step 1. Connect one of the horizontal X-frame pieces to the aluminum angle using the 1-inch bolts. Step 2. Connect one of the horizontal X-frame pieces to the vertical X-frame using the 2-inch bolts, flat washers, and lock washers. Step 3. Connect the strut tube to the aluminum angle using the 1-inch bolts, flat washers, lock washer, and nylock hex nut. Step 4. Connect the strut tube to the bottom X tube using the 1 3/4 inch bolts, flat washers, lock washer, and nylock hex nut. Step 5. Attach the rubber spacers around the remaining holes on the back of the aluminum angle. Please note the following before starting installation. Use extreme caution when attaching these first components to the RTU with the stainless steel Tech screws. Some equipment may have mechanical operating elements directly behind the areas you are about to drive a screw into. Be absolutely sure that you are not about to penetrate any of these elements. Step 8. Now that you have moved your corner trusses and mid-span trusses to the roof, first, starting at one corner, mount a corner truss 4 inches above the top surface of the RTU. If the electrical disconnect switch is in the way of the corner truss, add the 1.5-inch tube supplied to all corner trusses and mid-spans located on that side of the RTU. Step 9. Mount a second corner truss, using a bottom rail to level the span between the two corners. Adjust the vertical position of the second corner truss to keep the bottom rail level. Step 10. While the bottom rail is still spanning between the corner trusses, mount any mid-span trusses required on that side of the RTU. Step 11. Work your way around the unit in this manner to install the remaining corner trusses and mid-span trusses. Step 12. Temporarily align all bottom rails, making sure to keep all 4 corners of bottom rails square to each other and fit onto the protrusions of the corner trusses. If any of the dimensions on your RTU are longer than the longest bottom rail, you will need to splice 2 lengths together with the splice kit provided. Step 13. Mark the location of the pilot hole from the corner truss extrusion on the bottom rail and drill a 5/16 inch hole. Use a 1/4 by 1 inch self-tapping screw. Fasten through the bottom rail into the corner truss leg extrusion pilot hole. Step 14 and 15. Continue installing the bottom rail at alternating legs of the corner truss around the perimeter of the RTU, making sure each corner truss is square to the other bottom rail before drilling and fastening. Step 16. Insert the corner splice approximately 6-inch length of X-frame extrusion into the bottom C cavity of the bottom rail and secure the corner splice in place with the 1 1/4 inch Tech screws. Then repeat steps 7 through 11 for the top rail. Step 1. Insert the sliding panels into the inside and outside retainer channels of the bottom rail according to the submittal drawing. The quantity and position of the sliding panels will vary with each RTU. Refer to unit-specific submittal drawings for panel layout. There are only 2 panel widths, 22.5 inches and 45 inches. Step 2. With all the sliding panels installed, begin at one corner with an end cap and position it flush over the ends of both the top rail and bottom rail. Use the 1/4 inch Tech screws to attach the end cap to the top and bottom rail's extrusions. Step 3. Apply the disconnect sticker on the outside surface of the sliding panel that has the RTU's disconnect switch located behind it. Step 4. Inside the hardware carton, you will find small white plastic bottles of touch-up paint in the same color as your Envisor screen. This paint should be used to touch up any small panel scratches or screw heads. Next, we will select a corner to place the nameplate on, then center and level it. First, let's make sure we have all the parts needed: Tech screws, splice plates, corner tabs, trim splice, and corner keys. The top trim is fabricated from aluminum components and attaches to the top rail. Step 1. Lay out the top trim pieces on the ground to ensure you have the correct lengths for each side of the Envisor unit. Step 2. While pieces are on the ground, create a mitered corner by connecting a left top trim piece to a right top trim. Then, insert the corner key into the channel located on the back of the top trim. Secure the corner key to each top trim piece using the flat head screws that are already set into the corner key. Step 3. Lift the mitered assembled corner and install on the top rails with several Tech screws through the screw groove. Step 4. Use the splice keys to connect the top trim straight end pieces. Insert the splice key into the channel located on the back of the top trim. Secure the splice key to each top trim piece with the provided Tech screws. Then, insert the splice plate into the vertical channels. Make sure the splice key and splice plate overhang the cut end of the top trim. Then, secure the top rails with several Tech screws through the screw groove and the splice keys. You should have now completed the installation. Thanks for choosing Cityscapes for all of your professional-grade products, all ready to make your next project perfect.